Good morning, Rocky. We are live. Just going to give it a couple of seconds to let some people on. And I am going to find us on Facebook here so I can see my Facebook chatters. Good morning, Louise. All right, now I have my Facebook. Hi, Mary Lou. Good morning, good morning. Everyone's starting to jump in here. Good morning, Bryn. All right, guys, let's play the intro and then we're going to get started. And today is Monday, and we are live at 11 a.m. Yes, Cheryl, happy Martin Luther King Day. It is there on the calendar as well. Yes, I hope everybody is enjoying the long weekend. Good morning, Kathy Ann. Good morning, Shirley, Colleen. Glad you guys joined us today. I did work on my camera. It did need a firmware update. I was not the only one having issues with their cameras shutting off. So we're going to see, and hopefully today it will not black out on us. But nevertheless, we're going to do the project first and then go into the design space lesson because I need the overhead to show you guys how your project goes together, and I don't need it for the lesson. So just in case. Hopefully it's fixed though. Good morning, Brenda. So this is the calendar. We will be live at 11 a.m. same time Wednesday and Friday this week. Thursdays are always at 7 p.m. so that I can get my evening people in as well as my morning people. So we will see you again on Wednesday for another project that will also be a supporter. If you look on the calendar there, it tells you Mondays and Wednesdays are supporters, and Tuesdays and Thursdays are files that I put into the community. And then Friday we make something that somebody else has done in the community. And guys, you can use the contact form on craftingwithapril.co if you've done a project that you're proud of. You want me to make it on a Friday, just let me know and I will get it scheduled and to make. If it's a holiday themed type project, I will change the holiday if I have to put it on the calendar at a later date. Good morning, Joyce. And the current sale, guys, Cricut Access exclusives are about 70% off. Remember, your group code doesn't work on that because it's already kind of calculated in there for you along with your access discounts. So make sure you're taking a look at that. And Infusible ink is 30% off. Make sure you're jumping in there and checking out that sale. The links are down below. Remember, if you shop those links down below, I will earn a small commission, but only if you use those links, and I greatly appreciate your support. Make sure you sign up for mystery box email notifications. You can do that on craftingwithapril.co as well while you're over there. And make sure that you get those. If you're new, get that PDF file from the guides. It's going to help you remember some of the stuff that we've been covering this month in learning Designspace. You can just flip through it at a glance on your desktop and not have to worry about it, or you can print it out and flip through it that way. as well. It's going to help you with those when you get stuck and say, I know she said something about that. Let me look through those notes. So make sure you're jumping in there and grabbing that. The current giveaway. I know I told you guys, and I have been working on it. I've been kind of stuck and didn't know what to do. But I think I've come up with something overnight. My brain would not shut down last night, so I was up late and this morning. And I think I've come up with something, so I will get it posted up today. So make sure that you go over to craftingwithapril.co, check out the rafflecopter form for the giveaway. It will be live as soon as I post it up in the groups today in the pinned post. You can go ahead and start entering. Good morning, Marianne. So today, this is a supporter file I did. This is a little heart gift bag. It's a play off of something I saw on Pinterest. And I thought, well, that would be cute done as a little heart-shaped top rather than a pointy top like they had. So I made something in Designspace. And we're going to make that today. And while my overhead, I hope my overhead stays throughout the whole thing, but we're going to do this. And these are super cute and super easy. This one I used a 3/8 inch ribbon on, and you can open it up a lot easier, get the stuff in there, and then just draw this. This is the way that they did it, and so I did mine that way as well. That way you can hang it on a tree. If you do the Valentine's trees, if you do the holiday trees, you can do it that way with the goodies inside, or if you want to do them for teachers, things like that. Super easy and simple. This one I did with a 1/2 inch ribbon, and I did some iron-on on it, like so. I did this one here so you guys could see it a little bit better on camera. And those hearts are in there. Make sure that when you do your hearts that you do one in one direction and one in the other direction, so that when they hang on the front of the project, they hang with the hearts going both ways. I forgot to do that on this one, so I've got some upside down and some going the right way. So little tips and tricks for you on that. Now, that being said, this one is a little more difficult to open and close. So if you want it to stay closed, maybe it's a personal gift and you don't want it flopping open when it's sitting on their desk or coming slightly open, you might want to go with that 1/2 inch ribbon if you want it to stay secured. And I lost my little heart off that one. I'll have to put it back on. And you don't need the little charms, but if you want to do the little charms, you can do those. I'm not going to do it on today's, but you have those. You will need 6 brads. I use the little heart-shaped pearls. You get these at Michael's. It's a Recollections brand. Little Recollections brads. Super, super fun. And your ribbon piece needs to be about, I don't know, 27, 28 inches long. Depends on how long you want your bow and how you tie your bows. And I'm just going to weed this out because you need to do, if you're doing iron-on the front, it needs to be done first. And remember to mirror your iron-on. I could have cut that down. Mirror your iron-on and make sure that it's going the right way before you cut it. And I know this looks like, I thought, oh my gosh, it chopped off those hearts, but it didn't. It's a optical illusion. And you're just going to weed out the stuff you don't need. I know it looks like a lot to weed on that little bitty file, but it isn't really. It goes pretty quickly. I'm going to turn this on. I'm just going to use my mini for this. It only takes a few seconds when you're putting something like this on the felt. You don't have to press it. I would not press it for like 30 seconds. I wouldn't. Not on felt. You're not going to be wearing it. Make sure you get all your counters out. Counters are the centers of your letters. And double check it. No, there's a little, there it is. Oh, really, Cheryl? Yeah, these would be great for little gifts for your nieces, nephews, for the kids in their classes. I'm just going to center this up. I know it kind of looks like a frog's head, doesn't it? That's what I thought when I first did it. I'm just going to kind of center that up. Doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as it's like in the center of the top of the heart. And then we're just going to press it for about, I don't know, a count of 10. Good morning, Sue. Oops. My finger hit it. There we go. Do I have a Mevo? What is a, I'm not sure I know what that is. M-E-V-O. What is a Mevo? And you want to peel this cool. Super easy. How cute is that? And then the assembly. And I said that you could do these out of paper, and you can. Here's my mock-up that I did. You want to be sure that when you do these, that these are going in the same direction. You don't want to do them opposite, okay? You want your closures to go to the back, all right? And you can do your handles like this if you want to do them from paper so that they stay open. It's cute like that. How you do your handles is totally up to you. Oh, my heat pad. Oh, no, it's a GoPro. It's a GoPro, Cheryl. All right. Yeah, I should have used my heat pad on that, but I didn't. This one's already warped from me doing it the first time. So make sure that you use your heat pads, because I've got a little warp in the middle of mine where I did this with a big project and I forgot to put my heat pad under it. So mine's already bubbled up. But you guys don't want yours to do that, so make sure you use yours. All right, and you're going to take a brad and go into that bottom hole of your front, and you're going to skip that centerpiece, and you're going to take the bottom hole of the back, and then you're going to come to the inside and then put it through that centerpiece, and then you're opening up that brad. And you can straighten up your hearts and make them go all in the right direction after you're through. And just push that down. If you've got a little wrinkle in it, it won't hurt anything. And then you do the same with the second. First layer, second layer, third layer. Oops, I dropped my brad. And then open it up. This is so simple and easy, guys, and the kids will love making them if you're doing them for classmates. And then the last one, and open it up. And then you can twist your hearts to go in the correct direction, and then give them a good press down once you have them in the right direction so they don't move, and repeat it on the other side. Go into the front first. Oops, dropped my brad. I'll get that one later. 6 brads is what it takes. Front, skip the middle, back, and then do the middle one. Once you get that first one in, it's super easy. Just kind of straighten out the bottom if you wrinkled it. It won't wrinkle as easy on paper as it does with the felt. And the last one. And then turn, if you use the circular ones, this won't matter, but it looks neater on the inside if they're all opened up in the right direction. Oh, it doesn't want to turn on me. There we go. And tighten those. I think that bread is messed up. I think that's what that is. I can feel it on the other side. It looks kind of wonky. Yeah, I folded it wrong. But you can see, super easy and simple. And then you're going to take your ribbon and go into the back. And then through the front, unless you're doing two handles. If you're doing two handles like this one, you'll pull it through here and tie it off, like so. And then you'll pull it through here and tie it off. And then you'll do your second one. And when you do your second one, you'll want to make sure that they are even and tie that last knot. Make sure your handles are looped correctly, I should say. And what I mean by that is you'll tie this off and do your first handle, and then when you do your second handle, you'll tie one knot, and then you'll make sure that they're even this way, and then tie off that second knot or mark it with a pen so you know, or a pencil where you know where that knot needs to be. And that way your handles won't be one longer than the other. And you can decide where you want this to be, how tall you want it to be, and then that's when you're going to tie your bow. I'm going to even that out though. Let's get them even. That's good. Pull it back. I don't want it that far. Because remember now, you want to pull it closed to get the length on that handle. And then we're just going to tie our bow. And pretty it up. Get a loop in that one somehow. There we go. But you get it. I'm not going to keep zhuzhing it. All right, and that depends on how far you want it to open to. And you can adjust it and then trim off your ends and make them pretty. How cute. Super fun. Super fun, easy. Like I said, you can do it from paper, from felt, either one that you want to do. And this will close just like these will. I just did different handles on these for an example on how you want to do, if you want to do them separately. But you can do the handle on the paper just like you can on this one. So totally up to you how you want to do them. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. Guys, make those and post them up. All right, now let's pop over to Designspace and let's talk about managing custom materials. And I will show you a little bit about this project as well. Let's go to customize. There we go. Right here, I put two of them in there. I did one with the hearts and then one with the heart arrow. And these are in case you want to do your ribbon. Remember I showed you the ribbon where you ironed it on? Just make sure that you do them in two pieces and give it about 2 inches. Let me pop over and show you that because I forgot to do that. When you do your iron on the ribbon, give yourself some space down here so that you can trim this up. Give yourself 2 or 3 inches and then iron one on in one direction and then do the second direction. See right there where I've got mine going in the second direction. Okay, and do one in this direction and then give yourself a couple of inches off on this end. That way when you're threading it through and it comes back through, they will hang in the correct direction on the front. Okay, they will be hanging in the right direction instead of one going one way and one the other way. And then you have space to trim up your ugly ends from threading it through. Okay, so super easy on doing that ribbon. Or if you have one of the ribbon printers, you can do that. Totally up to you how you want to do your ribbons. So if you don't need those, you can just hide them or take them out of the file. All right, so super simple and easy file. Yes, patients, that's a great idea. Nursing homes, yep. They will love them, and then they can put their little things in them. They can keep that bag. If you do it from the felt, they can keep it and put little goodies in it. Reuse it. Yes, you guys have some great ideas. I can't wait to see what you guys make and how you make them. Making them out of a pattern paper, how cute would those be? Super cute. Okay, let me get over to the full screen. And I did cut my felt, guys, just in case you're wondering. The felt was cut. You can cut it on any machine. I don't know if the Joy will cut it, but you can cut it on, it's too big for the Joy, but you can cut it on any of the machines with a fine point blade. Make sure you have a good sticky mat and a good sharp blade, and you're good to go. Your Cricut will cut it without any problems. You don't need to put any backing or anything on it. And guys, you can size that down. These overall ended up being about 5 inches tall by about 6 inches wide, 5.5, 6 inches wide. So if you want to size them down a little bit and maybe put 1 or 2 little treats in there, you can. But remember, the smaller you go, the harder those brads are going to be to get in there. All right, so let's talk about, we have talked about a lot of stuff in DesignSpace, but I want to come through here and talk about managing custom materials. And I don't want to mess up this file, so I'm just going to get a new project. So when you're doing managing custom materials, I've had a couple of people that have messaged me, and we've gone through and done some troubleshooting and things like that. And come to find out, sometimes the materials that you're choosing, when you go and you hit make it, and you come over here and you continue, and then you come in and select the material that you're going to be cutting, it doesn't work on the material that you've chosen. And so you're left searching for something that will cut it. When you buy a material that is not in Cricut's material list, and I just want to cover this with you, these are all your materials. And anything with that little C on there, that is a Cricut material. Okay? Because Cricut has at one point sold that material. They may not have it in stock, or it may not be there now, but they did at one point sell that material. So if you were to go and get some corrugated cardboard, because they did sell this in a paper pack with matching paper, then you have some of it that you bought maybe at Joann's or Michael's, you would use this exact same setting. But you need to test cut it. Okay? You need to cut a circle or a star. Something that has points to it, something that's rounded, so that you can get a feel if that's going to be the right setting for your material. Because just because it works for the Cricut material, the other material that you buy could be a different composition. And that different composition you may need to alter how it cuts when you choose that material. So we're just going to focus on this corrugated cardboard right here. I'm just going to save that as a favorite by clicking it. You can save up to 12 favorites, and it will put them right here for you. You can see that. So I've saved that as a favorite, and I test cut my material, and it doesn't cut all the way through. And I'm left like, okay, now what? So you can go in, and you can't do it from here. I'm going to cancel. Say yes and cancel. You can come up here to the hamburger menu and manage custom materials. And this is per device. So if I go in here and I make a custom setting for my Maker 3, and then I use my Maker, guess what? That material setting's not going to be there for my Maker. Or if I set it up for my Explore Air, it's not going to be there if I go to my Maker machine. When you set up a custom material, you must set it up per machine. It's just like fonts per device, except this is per machine. Okay? So I'm going to select my Maker 3, and I'm going to let it process. And then you can switch machine if you need to up here. So you can add them to all your machines at one time, but you just have to do them separately here. So you can go in and switch your machine from here and add the setting to the other machines that you own. So I am going to look for corrugated cardboard. And let's see. Right here it is. Okay, so this is the Cricut setting for corrugated cardboard for the Cricut material. And it is set as a pressure of 315. It is not a multi-cut, and it uses the fine point blade. But that setting didn't work for the material, the off-brand material that I bought. And it cut through in some places, but didn't cut through in others. So I can edit this and change it and say, okay, maybe if I cut twice, and I can set that up to 9 times, 9 passes. That's how many passes it's going to make. And maybe 2 times we'll get it. So you can do that most definitely. Just remember when you do that and then you use a Cricut material, it may cut too deeply because it doesn't need 2 times for the Cricut material. Okay? And so I strongly encourage that you don't change your original settings. Don't change your original settings. I don't know if it still does it, but used to when they did an update in Designspace, if you set a if you changed a default setting, it would revert back. So it really does you no good to change this setting, except for maybe the one time, because if they do an update and you don't always see all the updates that they do behind the scenes, it's going to revert back to the original setting anyway. Okay, so to avoid that happening, we'll create a new setting, because maybe I just want to bump this one up to maybe 320. Whenever you bump these up, you don't want to bump them up more than 3 to 4 or 5 points at a time. Okay, and then test cut and see if that works, and then you can save that. You can plus or minus here with the step tool. But again, I do not encourage that you change any of your default settings, because if you ever forget and then you go and you cut a Cricut material or something that they already have set up, it may be an overkill for it and cut into your mats. You don't want that, because then you're not only destroying your mats, you're destroying your blades. Okay? So scroll all the way down to the bottom. Now we know that that was set at a pressure of 315 with our regular blade. So we're going to add a new material. I want to cancel that because it's not going to let me do anything until I want to put that back to my 315. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. I want to put that back to my 315. I don't want to do anything with that. Cancel it. So I want to create a new material. So I'm going to add a new material, and as you saw, if I've been tinkering in one of those until I save it or cancel it, that's going to be grayed out. I'm just going to click on it, and you're going to name it. And I'm going to say corrugated cardboard non-Cricut, or whatever brand it is. If it's Joann's brand or Recollections brand, you can put that in there. I'm just going to say non-Cricut for this one. And I'm going to click Save. Notice there are no settings here. Just going to click Save. and it's going to put it in and bring me up to it to do my settings. So I know that the 315 was not enough for that regular, but it's cutting through. You have to determine if you just want to do 2 passes or if you want to add a little more pressure. So it cut through in some places but not others. Then I would just increase the pressure, maybe 5 points. I'm going to take that down to 320. So I'll make that 320 because theirs was 315 and I can see it right there above it because I named it basically the same. All right, so I'm going to step it up 5 and I think that that will get it. Now if it didn't cut through at all in any spots, but it did kind of scratch the surface, that's when you might want to do 320 and then add another pass. Hi Christine. Hey Leslie. So that's how you're going to determine. If it cut partially through, you may just want to increase the pressure. And if it didn't really put a good dent in it, then that's when you want to increase the passes. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions on that? Once you have it all set, you can choose if you prefer to use your deep point, and it will allow me to select my rotary blade on this one too. And that's rare. Usually it doesn't let you select that, but it does allow for this material. So you can set that and get that right. I'm going to say my fine point blade works fine, but maybe I changed my mind. It's very intricate and I want to use my deep point. Notice that it jumped back. So you can set it how you want, and maybe I want 315 in my deep point instead, and then I can save it. Then I'm going to, once I've done that, then I'm going to be okay, and I'm going to come out of that. Just going to come to the top and close it out. And then I'm going to say make it, I'm going to do a test cut. I'm not going to try to cut my entire project, especially with a new material. And then come back over, and we're going to browse all materials, and I'm going to look up cardboard. And there it is. There's my non-Cricut setting, and I can make that a favorite as well. And done. And then I can test cut. I'm just going to cancel that. Yes. You can see where it says corrugated cardboard, non-Cricut, so I know that that's mine. And then when you're looking in your list, you can see, you see that gray bar? My materials. If you see that, that means that's a setting that you have set up. So anytime you see the gray bar instead of the color coded that they have for different materials, when you see that gray bar, it's going to say my materials. You know this is a setting that you created. Okay? Super and easy and simple. Does anybody have any other questions on how to manage a custom material? Because that being said, I'm going to go over here and browse. A lot of people want to try to cut acrylic. Guys, your makers and your explorers, none of your machines will cut acrylic. You can look in here and you can see transparencies, plastic packaging, a plastic canvas. You can see all of these. You've got 16 gauge, 20 gauge, you've got mylar, foil acetate, your cutting mat protector. That's like the protector on your mats. And then you've got your acetate. You also have let's see, foil. I meant to type acetate. I don't know why. You also have your foil acetate. Okay, and those can be two totally different settings. One is a Cricut material, one is not. But if you type in acrylic, you see that it's a fabric acrylic, and that's your felt. Okay, it's not going to cut regular acrylic. And this is the way we determine what our machine will cut and what it will not cut. And I'm going to kind of backpedal a little bit after I tell you this. When you do acrylic and you go and you buy it and it's rigid, it won't bend. It's like the plastic that's in the photo frames that does not give. Your Cricut will not cut it. Excuse me. I have cut it on my trimmer for basic rectangles and squares, but your Cricut itself is not going to cut it. When you cut acetate, your Cricut cuts acetate, which is a form of acrylic, but it's flexible. I'm sorry, I needed to have a sip of my coffee. My throat got dry. So make sure that when you're doing your test, when you buy your material, that it's flexible. Okay? If it's flexible, you have a chance of your Cricut cutting it. A chance. You're still probably going to be better off with your Cricut trimmer for that. It does use your deep point blade or your fine point blade. I think the deep point for the thick flexible is best. I have cut it before. I did a bookmark card. If you guys saw it, I etched on it or I engraved on it, and I cut it with my Cricut. However, it didn't cut in 9 passes. I think I even said in my video that I had to do more than 9 passes, or I did 9 passes, and then I still had to kind of punch it out. So you have to be extremely careful. And I even said in the video that I did on that the acrylic that I used was 0.02. They call it acrylic, 0.02, and it was flexible. But it's really an acetate because it is flexible, because acrylics generally aren't. So make sure that when you're doing that, because I did have somebody, I was on Messenger helping them for quite a bit. They had bought bulk quantity of 0.03 flexible plastic, like your cutting mats that you buy at the Dollar Tree. Your Cricut is going to have a tough time cutting it. It's not going to cut it in 9 passes. You'll be very lucky if it cuts it in 18 passes. It will eventually cut it, but it's going to take you some time. It's not going to be a 2 or 3 pass cut. So you have to be very, very, very careful when you're buying your acetates and your acrylics. If it's labeled acrylic, it's rigid, it is an absolute no. And if it is flexible and they're calling it acrylic, I wouldn't go any higher than a 0.02. 0.02 is what I used, and I had a tough time with it. Okay, so any thicker than that, it's not going to cut well. I think the Cricut acetate is maybe a 0.01. They don't say, I don't know, but it cuts super easy and it is flexible. So, but it is sturdy. So you've got several choices that you can make. And again, when you buy that material, only buy 1 sheet of it, or maybe 2, or think of something else that you might be able to use it for if your machine won't cut it. But please don't go buy something in bulk because it's a good price without knowing if your machine's going to cut that. Always test cut a brand new material that you've never cut before you try to cut your whole project. You don't want to damage your blades, you don't want to damage your machine, and you don't want to work with a material that you need to be quick cutting when it's going to take you 24 passes. Okay, so make sure that you're checking all of that and creating your custom materials before you get started with an entire project. Okay. There is an acrylic fabric that does cut and sublimate. There probably is. There probably is. I haven't worked with it, Cheryl. I know that polyester will accept sublimation as long as it's 95% polyester or higher. you're going to get a more vivid color than you would a 65% polyester. Acrylics, I don't know. I guess they would. You can always use your infusible ink or your sublimation on a subli base sold by, I think, Caesar. Caesar sells it there, and you can also use your Cricut white glitter if you want a glitter sublimation base or infusible ink base. You can use the Cricut white glitter. It will take it. So, good to know, Cheryl. Acrylic is much like polyester and fabric. So you could try it. Again, whenever, that's how we learn, guys. You can try it. It may or may not take it on your medium. If you're using this felt from Cricut and you want to do some infusible ink on it, okay, get a piece, cut a small corner off your infusible ink, cut a small piece off your corner of your scrap of your felt, and test it. You don't have to do the whole project to see if it's going to work, right? You don't have to do the entire project to test your mediums. So if I were going to maybe do infusible ink on this instead of iron-on, I would not use this because I can use this for my project. I would cut this piece of waste off right here, cut a piece of waste of infusible ink or just a corner off of it and test that. That way I don't ruin this if it's not going to work. That's how we learn. It's how we learn, because the first time, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm still trying to get over that from 2 weeks ago. Almost there. The first time that somebody did sublimation on polyester, did they know it was going to work? No, of course they didn't. It did, so it boomed, right? Until you actually try something new, we don't know if it's going to work. So never be afraid to test. We lose material every day. It's how we learn, okay? So a little bit of waste sometimes goes a long way, right? Never be afraid to lose a little bit of material when you're trying something new. It happens. I do stuff all the time, and it either works or it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, okay, I'm out a little bit of material. If it does work, yay, right? Oh, cool, Cheryl. So you never know what will work for you and what won't work for you until you give it a try, okay? You have to try. Good morning, Melissa. Yes, Shirley. Sublimation and infusible ink is really pretty on white glitter. It really is. And that's absolutely right, Cheryl. Our crafting and materials and all of that constantly change. Constantly. There's always going to be something new, and there's always going to be old school, and there's always going to be stuff that we've done forever. So, you know, when you're crafting, you're attempted to try the new or attempted to do something different with the new or something different with the old, but you have to try. You have to work at it. Does anybody have any project questions? Anything that you need help with on your projects? Any managing custom materials or any other design space questions? Anything that you need me to go over that we have not covered or that we have covered that you need me to go back over. Because we've dove deep into DesignSpace. We've covered our settings. I covered all of that, I think, in the first video, but I said I would come back to this. Let's see. Oh, in case I didn't tell you guys, right here you can see it says untitled with an asterisk. That means if you see that asterisk, it means that you have not saved your project. Okay? Once you save it, it will go away. Pick your collection. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to delete this. So you can see now that it's gone, I have a title. But if I move it or change anything, I get that back. So you know you have not saved if you see that. Have fun at lunch. I'm trying to think if there's any tips or tricks that I forgot to mention. Your open-ended shapes. I think I showed you guys that. Open-ended shapes, that kind of thing. A clear iron-on vinyl, Cheryl. There is. It's a clear, but it's not really an iron-on vinyl. There is a clear, but it's a glue for foil, for the old school foils. And what we did is we ironed that on. And then once you ironed that on, you pulled the carrier off of it. And then the foil that we had was like on a roll. It was really flimsy. And you laid it over the top of that. And then you put it on there. And it was sticky. So no, you couldn't use that. But I think that Caesar has something. I know that usually your printables for light or your... they will come out. They're usually clearish, but I think Easy Subly has one that is coming out pretty clear that you can sublimate over. Easy Subly is used for sublimation, Bryn. It has like a white base, but then they have one it's kind of milky, Cheryl, just like your StarCraft for printables for light, where the darks are white, so they accept color and will pop up on a black shirt. And then you have some that are kind of semi-clear or milky for light-colored shirts. It doesn't show and it appears to be clear, but if you put it on a black shirt, you're not going to see your inks and stuff because it's kind of clear. So that's why it says it's for lights. And that's when you put it on a light shirt and then you don't have that white background and the background appears clear. But I haven't used Caesar products in quite a while. Because I basically use the, I forgot. So it's something that I got from JPP, I think. And that's what I use when I do Subly. I generally combine my infusible ink with the Caesar Subly and my Cricut iron-ons with it. Only when I'm doing like multi-layers, that's when I use it. Right, and you don't need a polyester material when you're using the Subly. You can just put it on there. Right, Marianne? I haven't tried that yet, so please let me know how that goes. I haven't ordered any. I saw it, but I was like, I'll wait. I'll see if I can get some reviews. So, yeah, easy color, and you can use it with your inkjet. So, kind of like a Subly. I'm guessing, Marianne, that it's probably like StarCraft, but I would be curious to see how well it does, because I know that the StarCraft for lights, I washed mine and I didn't baby it. I didn't do anything with it, and it held up over a year, and I washed it 2 to 3 times a week. And I bleached it, which you're not supposed to do. And I mean, when it faded, it was a drastic fade. It was like perfect when it went in and it came out, and it was like, oh, yuck. So, I mean, it held up for a really long time before it finally crashed and burned. All right, guys. So now you know how to manage your custom materials. Somebody asked me to go over something, and let me check that. I was looking. Somebody asked me to go over something. I'm looking in the chat to see if I can find it. Show the ribbon again so you can see the hearts going both ways, Brenda. Sure. So I put it on. I did not cut it. I pulled this off my spool, and I started about 2 inches up. Maybe, actually about 2.5 inches up from the end. And I laid my iron-on down on that ribbon, and I ironed that on, and it stopped right there. And then I peeled it off, and then I laid my carrier going the other direction on this side. Oops, that heart didn't get ironed on. So I ironed this one this direction, and then I peeled it off, and then I cut to about 2.5 inches off on that end. So that it's super easy to do, because you just don't cut it off. When you cut it, let me go back to the project and show you. When it cuts, it's going to cut side by side. Let me just hit make it. That'll be easier. When it cuts, it's going to cut side by side just like this, and you're going to mirror it because of this piece. And I just slid mine over side by side of each other, just putting a little gap in between. And then I cut this out, and then I just cut straight down the side. Don't cut this in half yet. Don't cut it in half. Weed it. Just pull that out, and then you'll be left with your 2 strips, and then cut up the middle of your carrier, and then you'll put the one on, then peel it off, and put the other on, peel it off. Super easy. Super easy to put that on your ribbon. Now make sure, now mine was a 1/2 inch ribbon. You can make these hearts just a little bit smaller if you want, but I just spaced them out to where I had 11.5 inches, and it worked. So, super easy and simple. Guys, I think the camera's fixed because it's been on over an hour now and it hasn't blacked out. So that's what it was. I needed a firmware update. But super fun. You can put anything you want on ribbon with your scraps of iron-on. If you have those small scraps off the bottom of your, when you're doing your iron-on, you have that little space at the bottom. You can trim it off with your trimmer. Super to use those for ribbon, because you can put swirls on there. You can do whatever you want. I was worried about my camera, so that's why we did the project first. But I started researching it. Geek Squad told me that it may be a firmware update, and they were right. So I started researching it, and sure enough, there were several people complaining 5 to 10 minutes after they turned their camera on. It was when they're using it for a webcam, it just blacked out. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. I will see you Wednesday morning, 11 a.m. We have a really super cute project. Yes, it's Valentine's, but we have a super cute project coming for you on, and it's going to be quick and easy. You're going to love it, I think. It's years and years and years and years old, but it's still fun. So we're going to do that on Wednesday morning. Hint, you will need some Hershey Nuggets. So make sure you grab a bag of Hershey Nuggets while you're out today or tomorrow. All right, guys. I will catch you on Wednesday. Happy crafting. Thank you, everyone. Hey, Mama Bear.